Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and we are here at the ADAC simracing Expo of 2024. As you can see behind me, it's pretty crowded today. It's Saturday and we have a lot to see. We got the new Invicta wheel from Asetek. We got AC Evo, which is probably the biggest deal of this whole event. So let's go and check it out.
Let's start off with Asetek and their newly launched Invicta Formula wheel. The wheel is premium, high-end product and a part of Asetek's rapidly growing ecosystem. The focus here is on customizations. Asetek allows you to change nearly everything: the handles, the button colors, even the style of the grips. I got my hands on this wheel and actually spent a little bit of time with, well, one of the most powerful wheelbases that I've ever tried. So they really had to crank it up like high, maybe even too high. At those levels, it felt like I was fighting the car, which isn't really ideal if you're planning on doing longer races or even endurance events. But as a demo, it was actually quite impressive to feel the raw power of their wheelbases. And just to add here, I think it was still at about 70% of full power. When I got home, I played around with their new online customization tool. Building your wheel online and seeing real-time changes makes it even easier to create something that is truly unique and special. Just keep in mind, this level of customizability comes at a price. The base model starts at 1500 euros and it can go way higher with all of those add-ons. Next, I have to talk about AC Evo. This is a massive upgrade from the previous iteration, and it's not only about graphics. Yes, the visuals are quite stunning, with detailed cars, beautifully rendered tracks, and realistic lighting effects. But is it a real game changer? We'll see in January when the game officially comes out. I tested 3 scenarios: Porsche 911 at Imola with day to night cycle transition. The lighting transitions were seamless and the car felt really good. Also, I tested Alpine on Mount Panorama in wet conditions, and I even spun on the curb in my initial lap, which was kind of interesting because I really didn't think that I was gonna spin at that moment, but I just completely lost the car over the curb. Hyundai at Brent's Hedge was the last combination that I had my hands on. It was kind of in these mixed conditions. It was wet, partially wet track, and the new physics engine did a fantastic job handling wet and dry sections, just forcing me to adapt my style according to the conditions that were on the track, and it was an incredibly good experience. In the end, I'm quite curious to see how the game moves on and what the first release will be like. Next up was Logitech and their new lineup. Logitech has traditionally been known as kind of a go-to brand for beginners. They offer reliable, budget-friendly wheels that are accessible to a wider audience. However, with their new lineup, I think it's clear that they are trying to aim for a little bit higher this time. I spent quite a bit of time around their booth testing pretty much everything they got. So from their new wheels to the shifters and the handbrakes. Initially the rigs were set to around 1 or 2 Newton meters, which I think it was really low. It felt pretty underwhelming, to be honest. Then Swellia jumped into the rig and did some modifications, and once he increased the force feedback to 10 Newton meters along with, well, a lot more adjustments, it was a completely different experience. Suddenly the wheel felt more alive. There was more detail in the force feedback and you could feel the car's weight and the grip more clearly. What's also great about is the expandability of their new setups. You can mount almost any rim on their new RS wheel hub, which wasn't the case with their older wheelbases. Also, the RS shifter and the handbrake felt really good and it was kind of fun driving with it. The gear felt responsive and had a nice grip to it. Clicks were natural, and I have to say that they did a really good job with all of those new products. To me, it's clear that they are trying to offer more flexibility to some serious sim racers while maintaining that beginner-friendly appeal. And now let's talk about Fanatec and their new products. Fanatec really had a roller coaster year. After some financial difficulties, which were not some, it was pretty serious, they were bought out by Corsair, and many in the community were wondering what this means for their new products, and essentially what this means for the company. Well, at the expo they showed that they are still very much in the game with 4 new exciting products. The first one is the Club Sport V2 handbrake, now featuring a load cell for a more realistic feel. Great news for, I would say, for rally and drifting fans. I tested the WRC and it was quite an impressive feel, and the accuracy and the feedback were really good. Although I don't use the handbrake that much, this one felt really good, and I can only say that I would definitely recommend one. The next one was the Porsche wheel, aimed at the CSL market range. This new wheel is set to launch, they said soon, so I'm still not sure exactly when that's going to be, and the price is also unknown, but knowing it's a CSL product, it might be in just about 300 to 400 euro range. The wheel looks great, and those built-in buttons give a nice touch. A couple of rotary encoders, switches, and the wheel gives kind of a good impression that it's going to be one of the best products that they brought out recently. Of course, from price to value perspective. The next up is the Bentley wheel, and yes, it's finally available, but now it's gonna set you back for just about 2,000 euros. With integrated display screen and luxury features, this is clearly aimed at collectors. This wheel has been around since 2019, and finally they decided to actually start selling it, which is good, but also comes with quite a hefty price tag. It comes with some nice integrated demo screens, and even it can be used as a showcase wheel with a stand that comes with it. But in the end, as I said, 2,000 euros is, well, quite an expensive wheel, and if you're not a collector, you're probably not gonna buy one. And the last but not least is their new cockpit, which of course remains nameless and should be out soon. This is a Corsair cockpit which has been rebranded to Fanatec after the acquisition. All great features, but should also come with a price tag on it. I'm not expecting to see this cockpit for less than 1,000 euros, but as I've heard, it only takes 30 to 40 minutes to actually put one together. So I would really like to see one review in action, and just to prove that it's possible to put a rig in 30 to 40 minutes, which seems incredible coming from an extrusion profile rig. And overall, I think these new products is just Fanatec's way of proving that they are still innovating and they are still a key player in the industry, despite, of course, the recent troubles. And now about a product that I've just received so many questions about, the new Thrustmaster wheel. I would say that they took quite an unusual approach with their new wheelbase reveal. Instead of an open demo, like most of the boots, they opted for a private testing setup where you had to book an appointment. This gave a product a kind of exclusive feel, but I'm not entirely sure if this was the best strategy to generate interest. However, when I got my hands on the new product, it felt just like a step up from their previous wheelbases. The direct axial drive, as they call it, delivers a more detailed and responsive feedback compared to the systems that they've used before. Playing Gran Turismo was actually a lot of fun. The wheel felt quite solid and quite precise. However, switching to Assetto Corsa Competizione revealed some limitations. The performance felt a little bit muted, probably because of the pedals. They were usable, but nothing to write home about. If you're serious about sim racing, you will probably want to upgrade the pedals sooner rather than later. But overall, I really like the experience of the wheel, and I would really like to test it out in the longer run. But of course, with probably a better set of pedals and using an actual setup in ACC. But now moving on to not a hardware manufacturer, but an actual software manufacturer. Trophy AI was one of the standout innovations at the Expo. This AI-driven coaching tool really gives real-time feedback on how to improve your racing skills. It's like having a virtual coach, but it's right next to you, analyzing every corner, every breaking point, and every mistake you do. I tried it, and I do have to say that it's incredibly useful. Within a couple of laps I managed to improve my times significantly. The AI pointed out the areas I just wasn't optimizing, like braking too early or not taking the right racing line. And of course it gave me instant tips on how to correct them. But at the end of the session I eventually even topped my group's leaderboard, got a t-shirt, and it actually felt genuinely like I learned a lot. So Trophy AI isn't just for the pros, it's actually quite fantastic for beginners who want to understand the basics of racing line and braking points without actually hiring a real-life coach, for example, someone like me. But in the end, I have to say that I was genuinely impressed by the progress that I've made in just about 10 to 15 minutes. And of course, there were a lot of different manufacturers, and I do have to highlight SimMagic and, Well, their new line of products. With their new active pedals and modular wheel system, they are clearly focused on innovating tech while keeping prices reasonable. Their booth was always occupied and there was always a lot of interest for their products, and there is actually a good reason why. I was genuinely impressed by what they brought out and the prices of these new products. And in the end, I think it's actually true. There is a lot of manufacturers now, and it feels like every once in a while there is new one popping up. The question is, are we seeing the market that is oversaturated? In some ways, yes, but more manufacturers mean more competition, and that's generally good for us consumers. We are seeing prices coming down and brands are being pushed to innovate more. Companies like SimMagic are taking this advantage of just offering high quality options that stand out from the pack. And overall, I do have to say that ADAC SimRacing Expo was great. I saw some exciting new gear, new tech, and I got a glimpse into the future of sim racing. Yes, the market is growing quite crowded, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's pushing companies to innovate, and it means more options for us consumers. So once again, I really hope that you enjoyed in this video, and if you did, you can always click the like button, or you might even want to subscribe. So guys, once again, thank you for watching, and until the next time, bye.